Heroes. I had some unorthodox heroes growing up, though. I don't know about you, but for me, they were either one extreme, like your common heroes, like, yeah, everyone can relate to that guy, or these really weird, wacky, off-the-wall type random people. Like, first of all, it would be, when I was a kid, I was way into Superman, but who wasn't? You know what I mean? He could leap tall buildings, he could stop bullets, all of these things that I wanted to have, qualities I wanted to have in my own life. Another hero I loved was Indiana Jones growing up. The idea of being an adventurer, being smart, but also getting the job done, going around the world, all kinds of exciting things going on. I loved Indiana Jones. Another one, grew up in this area, so my family was a big 49er family. I know a lot of the Raider fans here are kicking themselves because they wish they had chosen the Niners too, but it's okay. It's all right. But growing up in the 80s, the Niners were the team of the 80s. And Joe Montana was a hero of mine. I had the 16 jersey. I'd throw the football at my brother all the time, whether he was looking or not. It was just, he was a hero of mine. And I actually had the opportunity one time to meet him. I was a part of a 4-H club growing up. I was the president. And I have a pig and a chicken trophy that I meant to bring to show you, but I forgot. But they're at home collecting dust. But I met him. Our club went to a game, and I was the mascot, so I got to meet him and another player, Jamie Williams. But I got to have my picture taken. I'll never forget meeting one of my heroes. I was so excited. I had been looking forward to it for like weeks, and he just happened to be on the field. It was after he was kind of in that in-between time. He was still with the Niners, but not really before he went on to Kansas City and soiled his reputation. And I was like, oh, I'm going to meet him. I'm going to ask him all these questions. And it was kind of hard to get him to take a picture with me. It was like he didn't even want to do that. But we took the picture, and he just kind of showed up. The whole team was walking by. Click, boom. I was like, hey. He was like, hey. And that was it. I got to say one word to one of my heroes. The other two don't really exist. But and I'll never forget that one word. It was so utterly disappointing to meet your hero, and the conversation was 2 words, and I had half of it. But I grew up thinking that heroes were these supernatural people who never failed, and they possessed some abnormal quality that turned them into Superman or Spider-Man or Hulk or the quarterback of the 80s. But then my heroes got a little bit weird. I need a little bit of space to explain this for you. But my heroes started to get a little bit weird after that. I play bass guitar, and I began to idolize and make into a hero this one bass player who was just the weirdest, craziest guy you've ever heard of. His name's Les Claypool. Not a person whose life that I would really endorse, but man, the guy could play bass. So I learned every single song, and I learned how to do it just like he did because he was a hero. Another person I really looked up to was my neighbor, my next door neighbor, Seth. We grew up in the country, so there were not lots of kids around. So our neighbor was my only friend pretty much, besides my brother who I didn't like. And we like each other now. It's just because we were a year apart. But my neighbor, he was a year older. He was bigger. He was stronger. He was very athletic, and he was amazing at Nintendo. And I'm not talking about like the Wii. We're talking 1985, like the one that you had to blow into to get it to work and hit the top. You know what I mean? You guys know what I'm talking about. This is before the Game Genie even came out. Whatever game we played, he always beat me at. And I always thought, man, I want to do this. And I'll never forget when it finally came to a head and I was like, forget it. Seth's not my hero anymore. It was when he was the first one to be able to ride his bike without using hands. And I was like, oh, I can do that too. Bam, chipped a tooth. It was like every time I tried to be like my heroes, I would always fail. I didn't really chip my tooth, but I felt like I was going to every single time. But then there was this one guy. There was this one hero that's probably the weirdest of them all, and you're going to think, what is he doing? When I was younger, there was one place, if I had my choice, one place that I would go. My parents would say, Brian, what do you want to go do today? Bam, go to Roller World. That's where I want to go. You'd get in there. The music would be going, It was all dark and dingy because it was old. It smelled like corn dogs and jalapenos and feet, Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Roller World over in Clayton? Who can remember? All right, I'm local. There we go. You'd get in there, you'd wait in line because I didn't have my own skates, so I had to get the old rented ones that were left over from when my parents went to Roller World. When they were kids, we'd get out there. Usually I'd be playing a video game or something. This is how you played video games in the 80s. And and my song would come on and be like, yeah, there's a cute 9-year-old girl. Let's go couple skate, which I always wanted to do, but I always thought was weird because, I was 8, 9 years old. The girls, when they're 8, 9, they're like a foot taller than the guys. So we get out there, couple skate. It's like I'm holding my mom's hand because I was so much shorter than the girls were. And I'm sitting here like, I can't skate. It's kind of like doing this on the floor. It's like they polished it to make you fall and break your arm. But then this one guy would come out of nowhere, and I saw him every time, and I thought, that's who I want to be like. He'd get out there, he'd be doing this stuff, like kind of going around. He had all the moves. He'd go backwards, and he could go like this. And every time I do it, I felt like I was going to break my arm. But the clincher, he'd be going around, hit high fives, all the way around the circle. You know how it kind of curved. Hit the high fives, and then bam, he'd drop down. He could do this move. I can't even do it. And I thought every time he'd go right by the entrance, there he goes, doing that crazy move. I wanted to be like that guy. I don't even know what his name was, Chet or something like that. But one day I realized, you know what? I don't want to be like Chet. The guy's 40 and has a mustache. His kids don't even like him. What's he doing hanging out at a roller rink? The question comes back to, why do we need heroes? I think heroes do two things for us. For one, they inspire us. They give us motivation to try and do something more than who we really are. And the second thing is the word aspire. They give me an example to live up to. They help me give the motivation, they inspire me, and then they give me something to aspire to. They give me an example to look up to. Heroes aren't perfect people, like I thought when I was a kid. They're real, but they're not perfect. They're courageous. They model integrity. They live with authenticity. They're committed. They're determined. They're resolute in the face of compromise. They're wise. They're godly. They're influential. These are qualities that inspire me. These are qualities that I aspire to. They give me something to live up to in my life. Who is a hero? And that's what we want to get out in the beginning of this series. Who is a hero? As simply as we could put it, a hero is a person who is submitted to God. All throughout Scripture, very few of these people possess supernatural qualities. But the people we're going to talk about that will be talked about over the next few weeks are people who submitted to God. That makes everyone in this room a potential hero. Each and every person here, no matter what your background, no matter what you've been through or are going through, can be a hero, like we're talking about here. We want to look at the story of Joseph today and be inspired by his heroism. Joseph's got a long story. It's found in Genesis 37, and it goes all the way through into chapter 50. And I'm going to take time to read it right now. Okay, you got it, I won't. But the story, as I look over his story and as you read through it, there's one quality that stands alone, that's unique to Joseph, that we want to highlight today. And his quality that stands out above the rest is that he was loyal. To me, Joseph's story is so inspiring because his life was thrown into a series of cataclysmic events, and yet he still remained loyal. He was loyal to his God. He was loyal to his integrity. He was loyal to his family, despite compelling reasons to give up on all of that. And when you read through his story, you can see that Joseph faced a traumatizing betrayal, intense family conflict, false accusations, sexual temptation, wrongful imprisonment, obscurity, isolation, deep-rooted pain, and agonizing loneliness. To remain loyal throughout all of that is an absolute inspiration to me. His loyalty was shown by his actions. And specifically, you may ask, well, how was he loyal? I want to just highlight and focus on 3 areas that we can aspire to remain loyal in. If you're taking notes, here it comes. The first one